Hey everybody, this is Ricardo Williams-Winston from the Muskegon Health Equity Council. We are here today at a hidden gem here in Muskegon Heights, the James Jackson Museum of African American History, located on 7 East Center Street. And I am joined today by, well, I'll just let you introduce yourself. I tend to talk too much, so I'll let you introduce yourself.
My name is Brother William C. Muhammad, Museum President here at the James Jackson Museum and also the Board Chairman of the Board of Trustees. We've had many different items in here, many different displays. We have many different categories in the museum, local heroes, just heroes in general. We have different artifacts, different historical artifacts. Have a segment on athletics. We have many African artifacts in the museum. We have a picture over here on the wall of a picture that hung in Dr. Jackson's home of a picture of Africa done by local artists. And in that picture, the black relief type of a picture, you can make out the face of a black man in the middle of that picture. We've had, I was thinking about a beautiful brother from Grand Rapids, John McDonald, a distinguished artist in Grand Rapids who was a professor at the Kendall College of Art in Grand Rapids. He had a couple of beautiful displays here, exhibits that we had back in our media center area. And we've had many, many different people here who have spoken. We've had many exhibits here. We've changed a certain number of things around. We have President Obama pictured in many different areas in the museum.
Yeah, I've seen that.
We have a pencil sketch that was done by students at Orchard View Middle School of him in various stages of his life over here in that corner. You had a whole wall dedicated to Barack Obama during his presidency, and we still have a section of a wall dedicated to him right now. We are a group that has been part of this city since 2006. December 26th is the date that the museum officially opened here. Wow. Prior to that, it started in Dr. Jackson's office, which was a few blocks down on Peck Street. And it was an idea whose time had come. We'll just put it like that. And fast forward to right now, what we believe in 2025 is that this museum can be a opening of a door to the study of Black history, come in and get a glimpse of what's going on here and what we try to do. And if at all possible, we'll try to direct you into further studies of the history of Black people on the planet.
Yeah, this is my first time actually in the museum, and
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just blown away with all the history that you have here.
Okay.
Can you kind of tell me how you guys kind of started collecting your pieces? Did it start with Dr. Jackson collecting pieces, and how do you guys get your items that you have here at the museum?
This was bare walls prior to the opening of the museum. Brought Dr. Jackson in. Dr. Jackson liked the structure of the building, liked everything about it, and felt as though at that point in time, the museum needed to expand into its own building outside of his office. And he purchased the building, and the renovation began to get underway. And in truth, the collections just began to come, because once people found out that this was going to be a museum, at that time, the Muskegon County Museum of African American History, what happened was, as we say, people started bringing things in. So we really aren't a catered museum in terms of having someone who more or less catalogs and choreographs the exhibits, et cetera, et cetera. It just is a museum that kind of evolved, to use the term for this time of life, organically, we'll say. A lot of beautiful things in here, a lot of things that, well, I'll say we are proud of, but at the same time, we're always constantly trying to move forward and bring in more things, but at the same time, we have a limited amount of space. Therefore, we can't really accept everything that people want to bring to us and have us exhibit. To be honest with you, some people got some stuff that they found in the attic and they just want to get rid of and they want to know if we want to use it. Sometimes it's some valuable stuff, sometimes it's not. We have decisions to make, and we are thankful for everybody who considers us in terms of donations and gifts and things that can become exhibits. And we stand ready to try to do whatever we can to help exhibit these things and help to be an educational force of truth, justice, and the right way in America.
No. You mentioned having a section on local heroes, so let's
Yes,
kind of
sir.
talk about Dr. Jackson himself.
Yes, sir.
Because it seems like he was a pretty big local hero getting this all set up. Can you tell me a little bit about Dr. Jackson?
Dr. James Jackson, in hindsight, was a mentor of mine. He and his family moved to Muskegon in 1960, where he and his family faced a lot of segregation, housing redlining, just overall discrimination. And he, having gone to undergrad school at Wayne State in Detroit, Michigan, was one who was really about challenging the status quo, challenging those who were in power. And as a medical doctor, an osteopathic doctor, he didn't really depend on others for his income. His income basically came from the people. Therefore, he was able to take independent stances and, let's see, what was the old phrase? Call a spade a spade. And he did a whole lot to help, along with a lot of other people, because it wasn't just him by himself. He was one of many Black men and women and others who were able to move the needle toward a more level playing field, and the playing field is still nowhere near level, but we could look at it and say that there are some things that are a lot better than they were, and some things aren't. And we continue to strive to try to bring about fairness, equity, justice in this community, in this area, in this state, in this country, in this world.
So, just walking around the museum, I was just like blown away by everything. I noticed that you mentioned the Media Center over
Yes, sir.
here. Now, is that a newer addition? Can you tell me about the Media Center?
The Media Center was an idea, well, actually that's an addition on to the museum.
Okay.
And we're able to do many different things there. I think the largest audience we've ever had in here was upwards of over 100 people for different events we've had in this area. But as our exhibits increase and as our displays increase, we begin to transfer a lot of things over to this area. And we've had numerous speakers here. Many of the local pastors have spoken here, giving the history of their various churches. We've had a local police chief speaking here. We've had many people who have come to give us a view of how they see things in this world and what their experiences have been.
Nice. So, before we get out of here, how can people support? How can they get involved? How can they come in and look at this place and enjoy it?
Well, really, we are kind of on a thumbnail schedule right now. We're open on Thursdays and Fridays from 2 to 5:30. And basically, they can get in contact with us by going to the number that's on the Facebook page, which is 231 area code 343-8396. And if you're familiar with that number, it's my cell phone number. Moving right along. Hey, it's out there. I don't try to hide it. It doesn't make a difference. It is what it is. People call, and they have the ability to call me and say they can't make it on the Thursday or Friday because that's a little bit tight. Mm-hmm. They can't make it in the afternoon. That's a little bit tight. They can call, and we can set up some type of a off schedule tour of the museum. And we've done down through since COVID hit, we've done a certain number of those. I can remember we had a tour in here from the University of Michigan.
Wow.
They brought a bus full of professors from the University of Michigan a few years ago. A large, amazing blue bus was parked outside the museum. And they had a wonderful time in here, and hopefully we were able to give them something that, even though they're at the University of Michigan, that they hadn't had in their academic endeavors or been able to see, especially from the local area and the local standpoint. And one of the professors was from Africa, and we have a bowl in the back that has African writing on it, and he was able to interpret that. Oh, and we shared a beautiful moment out of that. We accept donations, as Dr. Jackson said, anything from a penny on up. And I'm constantly saying, Doc, at least say $1. At least say 50 cents. At least do this, at least do that. And he look at me and smile and say, anything from a penny on up. and we took that became such a catchphrase for us that we took it and we put it right in front of our donation box that's over here. It says, anything from a penny on up, Dr. James Jackson. An absolutely beautiful man who I continue to admire. I'm finding out he means more to me now than he did when he was physically present and we were walking the planet at the same time.
Sometimes those lessons, you know, you gotta just sit with them for a little while and you're like, oh, no, now it all makes sense. That's what they were trying to say to me. But thank you for spending time with us. We're gonna take some pictures, you know, walk around the museum. It's beautiful in here. Muskegon, please come and support the Dr. James Jackson Museum of African American History, located in Muskegon Heights on 7 East Center Street.
Yes, sir.
Right across from the Muskegon Heights County Building. But
Muskegon Heights City Hall.
Muskegon Heights City Hall, I'm sorry. This is a beautiful place. Thank you guys.